supreme being, me fifth element, me protect you. Multipass.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
All night long, all night long. I can't do Chris Tucker. I'm not even going to try and imitate him. Hey everyone, welcome back to Mr. Teach Film Preach, and today we are talking about The Fifth Element. This movie came out in 1997, is written and directed by Luc Besson, who also did films like Leon the Professional, Lucy, and Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. This film is set in the future where alien races and the human races live in the same universe, and there is an alien race that is trying to help the human race and save them by giving them their best weapon against the forces of evil, which is their warrior, perfect, supreme being, the fifth element, who will be the person that will destroy all evil. And in this film, there is a giant mass ball of evil hurling itself towards Earth. And they have to stop it. And the only way that they can stop this ball of evil from destroying planet Earth is by getting the 4 stones. And each stone represents an element of nature. So you got wind, fire, water, and earth. And then if you put the fifth element at the center, it creates a weapon that will fight evil. And so that's basically the simple premise of this film, and it includes also a cab driver, and he gets roped up into this adventure literally when the fifth element crashes in on his cab and enters his life and changes it forever. So this movie is a really great sci-fi futuristic punk sort of film. I love this movie, the look of it, because it's kind of cyberpunk 90s grunge band mixed with some futuristic elements, and it works. It's by the French filmmaker Luc Besson, who has a very unique style of filmmaking and unique style visually and aesthetically with his costumes and his color schemes in his films, and it's definitely at the height here in this film. To me, this film has really pretty much everything. It's got some really great action scenes, some amazing costume and makeup. It's got some pretty good visual effects, especially back for 1997. It was actually pretty good. I remember seeing this in theaters and being like, wow, it's really awesome. And it doesn't quite hold up now as much today, but it's still enjoyable and it doesn't take away from the story at all. The characters, I love the characters that they built in this world. They made these really fun, really energetic, and over-the-top characters, and so they are really fun, and it's a really easy film to watch because of that. But also, there's some weight. There is some stakes throughout this film, obviously to save humanity and to stop the destruction of planet Earth. Bruce Willis is really great here as Corbin Dallas! And he is the ex-military officer who was a pilot and a very decorated war hero. And he gets roped into this adventure one day when he's in New York City, and the fifth element falls into his cab. Then the fifth element, the supreme being, is played by Mila Jovovich, and she does a great job. This is one of my favorite roles she's ever done. I know she's awesome in the Resident Evil franchise. This to me is like the best thing she's ever performed in. I love her as Leilu. She is a great character. She's a badass character, and I love that she plays so well. They weaponize her and they make her really great and strong and powerful, and they make her also very vulnerable at times, and she balances that act really well, that you believe that this woman is the supreme being, the perfect supreme being, and can kick ass, but also is really sweet and fun and caring, and you see that with her interactions with the priest and also with Bruce Willis. Ian Holm, who plays our priest, does a great job. You know, he's done a lot of Shakespearean stuff in the past with Kenneth Branagh, and he's a great actor. And then there is also the great Gary Oldman, who plays Zorg, another Luc Besson film. Yeah, he did an amazing job as the villain in Leon the Professional, and he does a great job again being the villain in this film, but two very different villains. If you look at both those roles, they're extremely different, and they both work in their perspective films. And Gary Oldman is such a great actor, and you can tell like he's He's overacting, but he does it in the best way possible, the only way possible Gary Oldman knows how, which is the best. Then there's also Chris Tucker. I mean, to me, he steals this film. Every scene he's in that he's actually on screen, he steals the show. He's so funny. First of all, his costumes and his makeup and his outfit, his whole appeal, his whole visual look is just crazy and wonderful and so over the top in the best way possible. And then his character, I don't think anyone could really have done this role quite like Chris Tucker. This role really depends on the actor to be funny, for the actor to be really have the right voice and the right movements and the right style and the right delivery of their lines. And Chris Tucker pulls it off. You really needed a great comedian or a great comedic actor to play this part, and they picked it perfect. I love all his scenes where he's in the action and he's screaming, yeah! Carpet my man? Carpet my man? Do you have any matches? Do you have any matches?
Carpet my man? I have no fire. I have no matches. I see you have any matches? I have no matches. I saw smoking. If I knew, father, you smoke.
He's so good. He talks so fast in this film. And this film is really great if you can put some subtitles up, because he talks so rapidly and so quick, and he's high, low, and he whispers at parts, He's doing so much at once, both physically and emotionally, and he is also a talk show host, so he is always performing, or it always looks like he's performing. So he's just up, and his bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. I started doing that. Don't do that to your wife, because I started to do that, and it's not a good thing. But I just love doing that. Zzz, zzz. Aesthetically and visually, this movie is really well done. I know that they really took inspiration from, sci-fi punk and those old 70s, 80s sci-fi shows, and kind of mixed it in sort of a modern, almost 21st century film, and really made it work. And what I love about this film, that Luc Besson and the actors react to that and play off of that well. They kind of go that one step over, it's not... Obviously, it's sci-fi, so putting that aside, kind of in between there, where they're like over the top, but there's also a lot of depth and heart in this film. It's not just slapstick ridiculousness, but this film never takes itself too seriously, and which is great, and that's why it's such a fun movie to watch. If you think of like another one of Luc Besson's film, they have a real sort of dark, real disturbedness. There's a certain tone to it, where this film kind of just kicked it up the tone a little bit and made it more positive and uplifting than any of the work he's kind of ever done. And it works brilliantly for this film. I kept saying throughout this whole movie as I was watching it, I don't know why, but this movie just works. The action is wonderful. The directing is great. The fight scenes are fantastic. The visual effects are really great. The actors are wonderful. It's a great cast of characters. It's a great story. He crafted a really great sci-fi story of getting these rocks safely onto Earth to get to this temple so that they can defeat this evil. And the characters that are really brought in make the film pop and make it really fun and snappy and over the top, but not too ridiculous. And I think they found a really nice level, a real nice playing ground between those two factions throughout this whole film, and that's why it's such a joy to watch. And also it makes it very rewatchable. I've maybe seen this movie about 30 times now throughout my entire life, and I enjoy it the same pretty much as the first time. Now, the first time I saw this film, it was like watching another version of Star Wars. And then as Guardians of the Galaxy came out a couple decade and a half later, Guardians of the Galaxy really reminded me a lot of The Fifth Element. The humor, the over-the-top, the ridiculousness, the vibrant colors, the punkness, the sort of punk rock, cyberpunk look to it, and to space and how they sort of treat their characters. But there's also a lot of heart in the film, and there's a lot of depth and great characters that you love, and I could do more adventures with. I wish they would make more, but also I like how it just keeps it as that one film, and it's just got that one epic journey contained into that one film. The scene on the cruise ship in outer space, Lost in Paradise, and the opera house scene with the blue alien woman singing, the diva. And I love that scene and how it's imposed with the action with Leilu, who's fighting all the aliens in the hotel room. And that whole scene is just so weird and strange, but wonderful. And I love just, you see this burst of like female and femininity just kick ass. And it's such a awesome, well choreographed scene. And it's strange, but it works. Then there's the whole hotel shootout scene with Bruce Willis and the aliens and Chris Tucker screaming the whole time and broadcasting it. The end where he actually gets to the 4 stones and the fifth element in the middle, and Leilu has to try and save them. And I love that scene where he's got the set of matches and he's got the only one match left, and they light it. Don't breathe. It's such a great scene. Things I caught recently when I watched it that I hadn't caught in the past. And at the beginning of the film, if you watch Bruce Willis, as he's on the phone, he's got a cigarette in his mouth and he's going around and he's trying to find all his matches are all out. And then he finally finds a box that's full of them. He uses it. And then he has another set of matches at one point that only have so many in the box. And he's only allowed to have 4 cigarettes in a day. They come out in the little tube in his bedroom when he first wakes up. And by the end of before he goes on the mission, he's smoking his last one. And there's only 2 matches left in there. And he uses the one match and he lights the cigarette. And then he's only got the one match left, no cigarettes. And so the goal of him trying to quit smoking, and it's just like a little tiny moment in the movie, and only being able to have 4 cigarettes in a day actually saves the world in the end. It saves it because he's got the one match left to light for the Firestone. There's some really great sort of foreshadowing and things that are like predestined. And I love that, and I caught that this time around, and I thought that was really great. This film could be seen as ridiculous or stupid or dumb or over the top, but I think people are missing the point of this film, where it was like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's supposed to be this ridiculous romp, space opera, adventure film. That's really what it is, and you're not supposed to take it too seriously. It's almost like a Pulp Fiction sci-fi story, and it's fun, but that's sort of it when you're done reading it. But I think that's the genius of this film. Luc Besson really crafted a great story. He crafted great characters, and something that I've really not appreciated about his films in the past is his sexuality and how strong he is towards it, and he just throws it in almost on every film just because he's obsessed with sex or he just loves women and sexuality in his films. But in this movie, The Fifth Element, it makes sense for the character of Leilu. She's supposed to be the perfect being, the supreme being, and then she gives the orange hair to give her a little bit more of an alien or out of this world appearance. But they do such a great job of that, and I think that's why I place this movie just slightly a little bit above Leon the Professional, which to me is Luc Besson's second best film, and I would have to say Fifth Element takes the cake for it. My only complaint about this movie is that it's a little bit slightly too long in the beginning to really get going. I feel like they spent a lot of time in New York City and on the spaceships at the beginning of the film, and I felt just a little bit of quicker editing would just make that film fly by. That being said, it already does fly by. This film does not have a moment of pause. It goes the entire time. I just think some maybe specific editing moments could have really tightened it up and made it just that much of a sharper of a film. Besides that, and the CGI that's a little outdated now, you can get over that because this film is fan-freaking-tastic. It's so well done. You'll have a great time. You'll laugh out loud. You'll have tears at parts. You'll feel good at the end of the film. You'll want to come back for more. When this movie was made, it was the most expensive European film ever made. And that's pretty crazy. And you can definitely see it because all over the screen that it's just this grand epic tale of humanity and love and finding the connection in people and each other. So I really truly think that this movie is a classic. It's something that I want to show my kids, both in just like a sci-fi film that's really well done, a comedy mixed with action, and just also how to really make great appealing shots that are just beautiful and out of this world, but also intimate. So I'm going to go ahead and give this great film my highest honor of an A+. Yes! A+, A+, good for Fifth Element. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you like this video, please click like down below, subscribe. I really truly do love doing these videos, and for all those who keep coming back and watching, I appreciate each and every one of you. Every person makes a difference, and it brings me so much happiness and joy. I appreciate it. Always come back for more and check out Mr. Teach Film Preach, and as always, let's get taught.